Okay, so we are officially past that time of year where the gym is so crowded you can't even find a squat rack.
Hmm.
That sheer enthusiasm of January has already given way to the reality of trying to stay consistent.
It's the annual cycle, isn't it? The high failure rates. And what the analysis from Sundry points out is that this cycle it's particularly punishing for high-performing individuals.
I mean, people with busy jobs, long commutes.
Exactly. The ones balancing jobs, commutes, maybe running a business, managing staff, they have so many other high-level demands that, well, fitness is just the first non-urgent thing to get sidelined.
And that really brings us to the core mission of this deep dive.
Yeah.
Based on the framework in the Sundry article, high-performance fitness, habits, systems, and metrics, this isn't about finding a quick fix for summer. It's about a total mindset overhaul.
Precisely. The goal is to fundamentally change how you approach your physical self. We have to stop viewing the body as a short-term project to be finished.
Because that framing has a deadline built in.
It does. It sets you up for burnout. Instead, the high-performance approach is to treat the body like a long-term high-value asset.
Okay, an asset.
Yes, one that requires the same continuous management and, the same rigor you'd apply to managing your career or your financial portfolio.
So we're not talking about temporary motivation here. We're talking about a permanent management strategy.
That's it.
The objective today is to provide you, the listener, with the roadmap, the objectives, and the systems you need for absolute resilient consistency, all drawn from this sun-dried material.
Let's install the systems.
Let's start with what feels like the foundational failure point. For decades, the whole approach to training was framed as this sort of moral battle, a battle of willpower.
Right. If you didn't train, you just didn't want it badly enough.
Exactly. But why is that perspective, a catastrophic strategic error, especially for a high performer?
Oh, because relying purely on willpower it's just fundamentally flawed.
Mm.
And, current behavioral science completely confirms this.
Yep.
Think of your willpower not as this infinite resource, but more like a fuel tank that's draining all day long.
And for a professional, that tank is being taxed constantly.
By 1,000 small decisions. Every email you answer, every meeting, every strategic choice. It's all drawing from that same limited supply.
So all that professional decision-making, it drains the exact same mental energy we need to then decide to go to the gym after a 12-hour day.
Absolutely. When you are tired or sleep-deprived or stressed, which is the daily reality for this audience, willpower is the very first resource to just evaporate.
So you don't fail because you lack desire.
No, you fail because you lack the mental energy to fight the friction. And that's why the shift has to be toward automating the behavior, making it second nature, like breathing.
Okay, so if willpower is out, then we have to look at motivation. We all know the external factors, wedding coming up, wanting to look good on vacation, they're great for a kickstart. But how reliable are they in the long run?
The analysis shows they're just inherently unstable.
Unstable how?
Because they're based on a fixed external point. The push just stops the moment the diet ends or the event passes, and you almost always see a crash afterward because the underlying habit was never built.
Right. The goal is hit, and then the engine just stalls. So what is the self-sustaining long-term fuel that high-performance athletes actually use?
That is intrinsic motivation. The framework suggests that elite athletes train consistently, not just for the outcome, but because the very act of training satisfies 3 specific core psychological needs.
Okay. And what are those 3 needs? And I guess more importantly, how do they differ from just, wanting a six-pack?
They are autonomy, competence, and relatedness.
Okay.
Autonomy is all about agency. It's about choosing a training model you genuinely enjoy.
Yeah.
If you hate running, forcing yourself onto a treadmill 6 days a week is not autonomous. It just feels like you're being force-fed.
You have to find something you want to do?
Yes, and competence.
That one seems like the most straightforward, but I suspect it's more nuanced than just winning a race or something.
It is. Competence is the sensation of mastering a skill. That's different from just hitting a result.
How so?
Well, hitting a race time is an outcome. Mastering competence is that feeling of lifting a weight with better efficiency, or noticing your form is cleaner, or running an interval pace with less effort. That feeling of incremental mastery, it's its own powerful reward.
I see. And the last one, relatedness, the community connection.
Yeah, connecting your personal effort to a community. This could be joining a local triathlon club or a weekly park run, or even just, engaging with a fitness discussion group on Reddit. It links your effort to something larger than yourself.
Okay, so if the mindset gives us the fuel, let's talk mechanics. Motivation gets you started.
but habits ensure you continue.
Right. And we're talking about behaviors that become automatic through repetition. The key, as the material explains, is efficiency, not building new pathways from scratch.
Absolutely. You have to leverage what's already there. As an adult, you have hundreds of these highly automated habit loops.
Things you do without thinking.
Turning on the kettle, brushing your teeth, locking the door. The concept of habit stacking is just piggybacking a new behavior onto one of those existing automatic anchor habits.
And the formula is so simple, that's its power. After or before my current habit, I will do my new habit.
It completely removes the decision fatigue. The trigger is already automatic.
Let's walk through some of the tactical examples SunDried provides because they're brilliant for busy people. They all focus on using dead time.
Or transition moments. I think the best one is leveraging our existing addictions, like coffee.
Okay, tell me more.
So, the existing anchor habit is brewing morning coffee. The new habit is to perform 60 seconds of deep breathing or mobility work while you wait.
While the kettle boils.
Right. The logic is twofold. You're using that inevitable dead time, and you're immediately associating movement and stress reduction with the coming caffeine reward.
That's smart. And what about reducing the friction of that awful post-work decision?
The anchor is arriving home from work. The new habit is to immediately change out of your work clothes and into your training kit. Before you sit down, before you check the mail.
I can see that. Once you're in the clothes, you're halfway there.
You're 80% committed. You've removed the activation energy.
There's another great one about creating a boundary between work and rest.
Yes. The anchor is closing your laptop for lunch. The new habit. Perform a 5-minute core circuit or a plank. It acts as this physical punctuation mark for the work block. It signals to your brain that it's time to move.
And even using those tiny micro moments.
Like waiting for the shower to warm up? That's just idle time. Use it to do calf raises or some simple stretches or set of press-ups. You're just weaving movement into the fabric of your day.
And lastly, setting up tomorrow's success tonight.
The anchor habit here is plugging your phone in at night.
Which we all do.
Right. So the new habit is to review tomorrow's training session plan or maybe lay out your kit. You displace that last bit of mindless scrolling with preparation, and you reduce friction for the next morning when your willpower is at its lowest.
So those systems handle the mechanics, but we still have to deal with that battle between the want instant gratification and the should, the long-term benefit. This is where temptation bundling comes in.
This is such a genius strategy. You're coupling an instantly gratifying want with a delayed gratification should.
So linking something you love with something you find hard.
Exactly. You link something you absolutely will do, like listening to your favorite podcast or watching a new series, with something you should do, like a long, slow cardio session. The immediate reward basically transfers over to the should activity.
This is the famous Netflix rule, right? You save your favorite show and you only let yourself watch it while you're on the treadmill or the bike.
Yes, you transform the physical obligation into an intellectual treat, or the podcast and run rule. You reserve that one riveting true crime podcast exclusively for your long run.
You were going to listen to it anyway.
You were. Now you've given yourself a powerful, immediate reason to lace up your shoes.
Okay, so we've got the psychological engine and the habit mechanics. Now we need the rate map. And this is where the traditional corporate approach to goal setting. SMART goals, outcome targets. It often fails completely in fitness.
It really does.
Why is focusing purely on the results such a trap?
It's a trap because of the feedback loop, or really the lack of one. We call them outcome goals. They are lagging indicators, things like lose 5 kilograms or run a sub-3 marathon.
They sound clear and ambitious, but you're saying they're terrible daily motivators. Why?
Because your body's adaptation lags so far behind your effort. You could train absolutely perfectly for 2 weeks, hit every session, eat cleanly, and the scale hasn't moved an ounce.
Or the mirror looks exactly the same.
Exactly. And that lag is a massive demotivator, especially for high achievers who are used to getting instant measurable feedback at work.
And you mentioned they suffer from a severe lack of control.
They do. Outcomes are influenced by so many factors outside your immediate control. Genetics, daily stress, hormones, and especially sleep.
Like the example of a new baby at home.
Perfect example. You can nail every training session, but if you're not getting any sleep, your performance will suffer. And then you feel like a failure, even though your effort, your input, was perfect.
So we shift the focus entirely to process goals, our new best friend for long-term consistency. Define a process goal for us.
A process goal focuses entirely on the inputs and the specific actions that are 100% within your personal control.
The success metric changes.
It shifts completely. Yeah. Finishing the activity is the success. That's the win, regardless what the scale or the clock says that day.
Okay, let's use the conversion table from the sun-dried framework to make this really actionable. If the desired outcome is, I want to lose body fat, what's the controllable process goal?
The corresponding process goal would be, I will include a serving of protein with every meal and walk 10,000 steps daily. You're focusing on the levers you can actually pull, not agonizing over daily scale fluctuations.
I like that. Okay, next one. The ambitious runner whose goal is, I want to run a 5K in 20 minutes.
That outcome goal puts so much pressure on every single run. The sustainable process goal is, I will follow my running program 3 days a week and perform my intervals on Saturdays.
So success becomes about showing up and doing the work.
It shifts from the race clock, which you only partly control, to your training adherence, which you control completely.
And for that crucial recovery goal of I want better sleep, that's a hard one to measure accurately night to night.
Right, so the process goal becomes, I will turn off all screens at 9 p.m. and read fiction for 20 minutes. You're targeting the pre-sleep hygiene behaviors. You get a win every single time you hit that 9 p.m. deadline. It reinforces positive momentum.
So we have the systems, we have the process goals, but we still need objective evidence. That demotivation still hits in those first, 4 to 8 weeks, when the mirror feels like your worst enemy.
We need data. We need proof that your stock is rising, so to speak.
Right, the professional who needs data to validate their investment of time and energy.
Exactly. And the analysis details 3 physiological quick wins that you can start tracking right away.
Number 1, heart rate variability, or HRV, the readiness monitor.
Right. So in simple terms, HRV is like the balance sheet for your autonomic nervous system. Think of your nervous system as having a gas pedal, your fight or flight response, and a brake your rest and digest.
And HRV measures the balance between the two.
It measures the tiny variation in time between your heartbeats. High variability means robust, flexible recovery. Your body can easily shift between the brake and the gas.
So high HRV means I'm recovered and ready for a tough workout or maybe even a high-stakes meeting.
Correct. And low variability signals accumulated fatigue, stress, or that you might be getting sick. Tracking an upward trend in your HRV is definitive, objective proof that your body is adapting efficiently.
Okay, number 2 is resting heart rate, RHR, the efficiency metric.
This is maybe the most responsive metric we have. As your heart gets stronger from training, it pumps more blood with every single beat.
Which means it doesn't have to beat as often when you're resting.
The engine becomes more efficient. And the framework notes that a beginner might see their RHR drop by a very tangible 5 to 10 beats in the first month.
That is undeniable proof of progress.
It is, even if you can't see any muscle tone yet.
And the third quick win, heart rate recovery, HRR. This is the one that's called the mortality predictor.
It's powerful. It measures how quickly your body can switch off that stress response after you do something intense. So you stop an interval, check your heart rate, then check it again exactly 60 seconds later.
And the difference is your score.
Yes. And seeing that score jump from, say, a 15-beat drop to a 25-beat drop over a few weeks is a clear, weekly, testable sign of improved aerobic fitness. It validates the investment you're making.
So let's wrap this up with a real-world implementation. The foundational rule from the source is that modern professionals have to allocate time for fitness. You can't just hope to find time.
You have to treat that training block like a non-negotiable meeting with your most important asset.
And the strategies are tiered, right, depending on your resources.
They are. If you're on the budget approach, your running is free use, an app like Strava. Your strength training is calisthenics press-ups, bodyweight squats, no equipment needed. Your metrics, you just use your fingers and a stopwatch for your resting heart rate.
So consistency is the only investment required there.
Exactly. If you're in the middle of the road, maybe you invest in a decent wearable. That lets you train in specific heart rate zones, which ensures you're building capacity efficiently. Aim for 3 to 4 consistent sessions a week.
And for those who are really pushed for time,
for them, intensity is the shortcut for volume. So utilize high-intensity interval training, or HIIT. 20 minutes can be a really potent stimulus.
but the focus has to be on big movements.
Yes, big compound movements, squats, lunges, presses, for the maximum return on investment. But, and this is crucial, because HIIT is so taxing, you absolutely must prioritize sleep and recovery.
For the listener who says, okay, give me the blueprint, I have 3 hours a week, Sundried provides great structure for that.
It's structured for balanced impact. Session 1, 60 minutes, total body strength. Session 2, 45 minutes, is zone 2 cardio,
That's the easy conversational pace.
right, that builds your foundational engine. Session 3, 45 minutes, is intervals to boost your top end. And session 4, just 30 minutes, is for mobility to keep the joints healthy.
And finally, the crucial 7-day training rule. Just because you can train every day doesn't mean you should go hard every day. Let's talk about polarized training.
This is so key to preventing burnout, especially in high achievers. The rule is 80-20. 80% of your training should be easy, low intensity, focused on building volume. Only 20% should be very hard.
Because high performers tend to treat every workout like a race.
They do, and that just taxes the central nervous system and leads to inevitable breakdown. The low-intensity volume protects the asset, while the intense intervals boost the engine.
And active recovery is part of the work.
It's non-negotiable: walking, swimming, light cycling. Because the physiological truth is you grow when you rest, not when you train.
That's a fantastic summary of the system. Let's do a rapid-fire takeaway based on the core tips from the framework.
1. Ignore the hype systems are permanent. 2. Consistency trumps intensity. A mediocre workout done consistently beats a perfect one done once. 3. Use the 10% rule. Never increase your volume by more than 10% a week.
That's the key to preventing injury. Okay. 4. Recover hard. Sleep is the most potent performance enhancer available. 5. Stack habits to remove friction. 6. Bundle temptations to make the hard work desirable. 7. Focus on process over outcome. Celebrate doing the workout itself.
8. Date your data, review your vitals weekly, not just daily. 9. Track those vitals, your RHR and HRV, for objective proof the investment is paying off. And 10. Think like an asset. You're building a body to last a lifetime, so treat it with that respect.
A great final thought.
I'd really encourage you to just audit your calendar today and identify one anchor habit you can stack your very first system onto.
And here is the final provocative thought for you to chew on this week based entirely on this material. If you are already meticulously tracking your professional success and your investment portfolio with data, why are you still relying solely on the mirror and fleeting emotional motivation for the management of your most critical and personal long-term asset? Think about that.